Hello, today I will do for you a really urgent video. Since I made a deal and a pact with Moloch, I am obligated to film 3 useful videos about the divinity. I already filmed one video, it was the first one about offerings. But today we will talk about the second video I have to film, which is the video about comprehensive, easy and useful evocation of Moloch for beginners. So let's start. So what is evocation? Evocation is process of summoning spirit for the purpose of magical interaction within a magical ritual. There are 3 steps of magical evocation. First is preparation. Second is ritual. And the third is retraction, aka not focusing on the end result. Instead of that, let spirit do the work. And also, if spirits tell you to do anything necessary, or if spirits tells you you need to perform multiple evocations to complete your goal, listen to the spirit. We will talk about all of the 3 steps in this video. So, the first step is preparation. How the one should prepare for the evocation of Moloch. Here is my advice. The only physical pleasure you should abstain from before evocation of Moloch for the first few times is sexual pleasure. Food and drink are welcomed, but for the first few evocations, abstaining from sexual pleasure is good, because abstaining from sexual pleasure will jump your psychic abilities and enable you to work with him and perceive him more. This is the only requirement of non-magical nature I give for the purpose of preparation. As for magical preparation, you should do the chakra work beforehand, meditate and ground yourself, and possibly clean your aura. I already on this channel filmed many videos detailing those steps of preparation: cleaning aura, chakra work. My next video will probably be about advanced method of the chakra work I discovered. So wait for that next video. And now we're gonna start discussing the process of evocation itself. So within the process of evocation itself, you have 3 different parts of the ritual. You have raising of the sacred space, you have evocation of the spirit, and you have the license to the spirit to depart once you gave your requests and spirit bestowed upon you empowerments. So we will now discuss the first step of evocation process, which is the raising of the sacred space. Since this is evocation tutorial for beginners, raising sacred space will be simple. Simply repeat the magical chant you see on the screen. Moloch mashtayere, Moloch mashtayere, Moloch mashtayere, and visualize dense purple energy rising around your ritual space and protecting the space. Repeat this chant until you literally feel the energy and feel the space is fortified. So, after you did that, you can indeed proceed to the next step of evocation process, which is conjuring the spirit itself through the magical chant you will be given in a few seconds. Last note regarding raising of the sacred space is this. The reason why you need to raise the sacred space and why I insist so much on it is because raising of the sacred space is extremely important for preventing impostor spirits, astral parasites, and harmful magicians to enter your space and disturb your operation. So remember, raise the sacred space. That is the first step of the evocation process. Once you finish the first step of the evocation, which is raising of the sacred space for the purpose of your protection and safety, we will talk about the second step, which is presencing the spirit itself. And before I start talking about how to presence Moloch, I need to literally explain some other concepts and things for you and how presencing of the spirit works. So you already kinda make for Moloch easier to appear by raising the sacred space through the technique I showed you. Because if you raise the sacred space through the technique I showed you, you already programmed the space around you for Moloch's presence. But there is more to this. You see, what is evocation? So you are summoning the spirit from his own plane, or from his own space, or from his own realm, which isn't necessarily so distant from our own, but is more or less separate from our own. So you are summoning something which wasn't there with you to be with you, and you are conjuring it into the space. And it demands three things. It demands focus, it demands willpower, and it demands keys through which spirit is conjured or reached out. In order for conjuration to succeed, you first need to be focused. Second, you need to have enough willpower to summon the spirit, and enough of an emotional drive. And third, you need to call spirit by the right names and in the right conditions. What I mean by that? Evocation of the spirit is easier on certain days and certain hours. Moloch is Saturnian entity, so summoning him is much easier during Saturday and during the night, especially in the hour of Saturn. Now, I personally am performing this evocation and filming this video at Saturday, so I am technically now respecting this rule. However, you can summon spirit outside of the ruling day and hour, but it is more difficult. So, to make your first few interactions with Moloch easier, call him at the appropriate day and hour. Summon him at the day of Saturn in the hour of Saturn. So, after we clear that, let's proceed to other specifics of evocation. In order to proceed the art of spirit evocation at all, you need to kinda have astral senses developed a bit. It's a little bit pointless to summon spirits if you cannot feel any energies. Because what will happen is spirit will be present, but you will feel either a little or nothing, because your astral senses are not open to comprehend the presence of the spirit. In the same way, blind guy cannot see the most beautiful painting in the world. It is difficult for people with no astral senses developed to feel spirits, no matter how powerful presence of the spirits is. So my advice is the following. I actually have two advices for you. First advice is do decent amount of chakra work before you start summoning spirits. For a month or two, work on your chakras for hour a day for 2 months before starting to summon spirits. If you really are not into this, if you really want to summon spirits quickly, you don't want to wait 2 months and practice chakra work for an hour every day, then that's fine. But don't expect crazy experiences from your rituals then. During your first few evocations, you will feel just the subtle changes in the room, pressure in the room, pressure in the head, subtle energetic alterations, and things like that. It won't be anything spectacular. And once we cleared that out, let's return to the evocation procedure. So, now, when you rouse the sacred space, focus on your intention to summon the spirit. And focus on your emotion, will, and desire to summon the spirit. And focus on a purpose you want to summon him for. And dwell on it for a few seconds until it starts flowing through you. And then start chanting the magical chant for summoning of Moloch or Molech. Molech, Molech, Malik Ban Shedi, 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 over and over again. And don't stop chanting within your sacred space until you feel the presence of Moloch in some way, either as the pressure in your head, pressure in your forehead, pressure in the room, just the feeling that you are not alone. Those will be subtle signs that spirit is there. And let me remind you once again, raise the sacred space well before you proceed evocation, to make sure that imposters won't show up. Once Moloch appears to you, or once you feel his energy, because he won't physically appear, you cannot perceive him yet, give him your request. Now, when you are giving the spirit your request, it's important to visualize the end result and hold it in mind in front of the spirit until you kind of feel that your request will be fulfilled. Now, what is important here is to tell the spirit that you are willing to do something for him in return for doing a request for you, for doing what you desire for you. Because unless you don't want to bind them, unless you want to bind them, it is advisable to do something for the spirits. Now, spirits will probably tell you what you have to do for them later on, when your senses open. But here is the thing. If you really cannot know, because you don't hear spirit yet, you don't hear Moloch yet. If you really don't know what he wants, here is one thing I recommend, which he likes in general. He is the enemy of the oppressive religious structures, so you can tell him that you will curse oppressive religious and governmental structures in his name, and he will guide you how to do so. Or you can, in return for fulfillment of your request, do some artistic work for him, because he appreciates art a lot. You doesn't have to be a natural, gifted and talented artist for this. What is important is to make this art from the heart. Because, as I said earlier, spirits appreciate mostly offerings we give them from the heart, which are honest. If you try to appease spirits by giving them a lot of physical shit, which doesn't mean a lot to you, or if you try to bribe them, a relationship will become toxic really seriously if you try to bribe spirits with offerings. So you can do those two things for Moloch in return for fulfillment of any of your requests. Now, here, once you summon the spirit, it is good to know what are the offices of Moloch. What is he good for? So, Molech means the ruler, but he is also the god of prophecy. So, he is good for astral senses, spiritual insight, predatory spirituality, money, psychic abilities, attunement to the sun, obtainment of political power, self-control, binding, banishing, and exorcism. Those are his specialties. So, if you have any problems related to those things, you can summon Molech. But, if you, for example, want love spell, and if you want woman to fall in love with you, I think Molech isn't the best spirit to summon. I think there are other better spirits you can summon and work with. So, once you know the offices, and once you know chant, and once you know how to summon him, now we are going to the third step of evocation process. Now, when we examine procedure of evocation itself, it is time for us to examine the last thing, but not the least, which is the license to depart. Once you gave Moloch your request, and once you are in his presence for a few minutes, and once you were able to tap and contact his energy within the sacred space, it is time to give him the license to depart. It is simple. Just tell Moloch to go peacefully and start chanting. Moloch keteraneti, Moloch keteraneti, Moloch keteraneti, Moloch keteraneti, Moloch keteraneti, Moloch keteraneti. The purpose of this chant is to kinda dismiss him respectfully and let him go, so you don't have a lot of his residual energy after the ritual, and it don't create you any problems necessarily. So I will just at the end of this video talk why is, how I can say, why is license to depart so important, and why you should use it. If you don't use good license to depart, residual energy of the spirit will remain, and it can kinda intervene with your daily life, sometimes in positive, sometimes in negative way, but as a beginner you don't want it. And it is also advisable to, how I can say, it is advisable to raise the sacred space at the end of the ritual as well. So that's everything for this video, and thanks for watching. So today I will present to you two magical chants regarding Moloch or Molech. One magical chant is Molech Artava Solis Nigratiel, and another one is Molech Irtuve Nerano. Another is used for creation of spirits and entities. So the chants are Molech Artava Solis Nigratiel, for transformation of your soul into the black sun. And then The second chant is for the creation of spiritual entities, and that chant is Moloch Irtuve Nerano. Now, I will today speak about chants, how to perform rituals connected to those chants, what's their purpose, of those rituals, and how it benefits the operator. Well, so first you summon Moloch in the consecrated sacred space, and then you proclaim the following: I called you today, Demon King Moloch, to become your student of dark infernal arts. I conjure you on this day to give you the peace of my eternal divine spark, and to indeed become the initiate of your mysteries. You will return the peace of my spark to me in transformed state. Return it to me, O the great God of Amalekites, as a piece of the black sun, the eternal dark star. Then, what I need to elaborate here is that you need to summon him really intensely, to the point of definitely seeing him or feeling him extremely strongly before making this proclamation. Once the proclamation is made, if the spirit is properly conjured, you will feel enormous pain within your being, and Moloch will indeed grant your request. He will take the piece of your divine spark, turn it into the piece of black sun, and then return it to you immediately. That is the initiation rite into the mysteries of Moloch. Now, in order to facilitate the process of spark transformation, repeat the chant of the black sun given earlier in this video. Now I will explain the purpose and the use of the second chant, which is the chant for creation of spirits. And I will in detail explain in this part of the video how to use this chant. First, you need to summon Moloch and to request from him a sigil for the spirit you are going to create. The creation of the sigil is a complex process. It will take up to 5 rituals. So you call Moloch for 5 times, and each time you ask him to give you a sigil, and he indeed will give you a sigil. That's really intense. You need to summon him 5 times in a row, and for 5 nights in a row work on a sigil. Once you receive sigil, summon him for the 6th time and request the name of the spirit you are going to create. And now when you have the sigil and the name for the spirit, when the full template for the entity is ready, then it is time to start spirit creation. So you summon Moloch for the 7th time, and then you use the chant for transformation of the soul into the black sun, and you repeat it over and over first. And then you proclaim the following: O Molech, the great king of Amalekites, the God of the ancients, I call you to aid me in sacred rite of spirit creation. I want to emulate the Creator, to give breath to the piece of clay, to give breath to the smokeless fire. I offer the piece of my divine spark to be transformed into the piece of the black sun and serve as a nucleus for a new being, for a new spirit, for a new consciousness of the pandemonium. And then, after the proclamation is given, in the presence of Moloch, after extremely intense evocation, Moloch will again take the piece of your spark, and he will indeed turn it into the piece of the black sun. Then you should start expressing your sexual energy, to use it as a vehicle to create an astral body of the spirit. So you already created a divine spark for the spirit with the help of Moloch, and now you have a task of forging the astral body of the entity with the help of Moloch. You will pleasure yourself to the point of climax, and while you are pleasuring yourself, imagine the body, the astral and spiritual body of the entity forming around the piece of your divine spark, which is transformed. After you pleasure yourself and express the energy, use your hands and art of energy manipulation in order to shape the astral energy you just released. Use your hands to shape the astral energy into certain appearance and to gravitate it towards the piece of the spark you transformed. And also ask Moloch to aid you in the process of shaping the entity, and he will. Once you finish the process, you will be capable and able of really intensely either feeling or seeing the entity. And once creation is completed, you should ask Moloch, who will still be present, what is the purpose of the being and how this specific being can aid you in your spiritual evolution. In order to obtain more of those information, you should indeed call Moloch for the next 4 nights in a row to obtain all of the information necessary. This, what I mentioned here, those 2 chants and the procedure is technically advanced initiation rite into the mysteries of Moloch. This will be a final part of the Moloch video compilation. After you perform this initiation, you officially became a student of Moloch. And if you were capable of mastering the previous parts of this video, then you will be able to also master this last part. Because if you are truly able to summon Moloch, as described in previous parts of this video, you will also be able to do this as well. Thanks for watching and see you next time.